We're going to start on page 79. So go ahead and go to grammar, page 79. Get this going. 79. Okay, we're talking about clauses. Actually, we're going to talk about three clauses. I know we know more than that even, but the three we're going to talk about is the who, which clause, that clause, and adverb clause. And they add detail to the sentence. So remember, these clauses go with a sentence that's already complete. So they're going to go with a main clause, basically, because that's what a main clause is. It's a complete thought. It's like a full sentence. So when we add clauses, it actually gives more detail to the sentence. Look at this here, and you're going to notice a pattern. I'm going to point it out to you. So you see the who, which clause, and that clause and adverb clause. By the way, the adverb clause is the one that has the www.asia.b. That's the adverb clause, okay? So notice the first line under each one says contains a subject and verb, contains a subject and verb, contains a subject and verb. So I want you to get that in your head that all clauses contain a subject and a verb, all of them, even the because clause and all the other clauses, okay? The second line says is added to a sentence that is already complete, just like I said. So it's there, it's here. Under the that clause is added to a sentence that is already complete. Under the adverb clause is added to a sentence that is already complete. So they do a lot of the same things, right? Contains a subject verb and is added to a sentence that is already complete. This is where it changes up a little bit. You already know this, so this is just review. But the who, which clause begins with a who or which. The that clause begins with the word that. And the adverb clause begins with a www word. So that's where the list changes just a little bit. And then the comma rules are a little bit different for each one. So look at the who, which clause usually contains commas. That's when we usually add it in the middle of the sentence. So we got to put commas around it. And then the that clause does not use commas. So you don't have to worry about commas at all with the that clause. And then the adverb clause says uses a comma after, but not before. So it depends on where the adverb clause is in the sentence. If it's an opener, you need a comma. If it's not an opener, if it comes after the main clause, then you don't need a comma. So it just depends on where it is in the sentence. So they wanted you to compare these three clauses. So now you know, look for that subject verb pair. That's how you know it's a clause. A phrase, just to remind you, like a prepositional phrase, does not have a verb. That's the big difference between clauses and phrases. Okay. Down here it says complete this exercise orally, just meaning you're just going to say the answer, and change the sentence by adding different types of clauses. There are multiple right answers. So thinking about these three different clauses, who, which, that, and adverb, here's your base sentence or your main clause. This is the complete sentence right here. The cook could not find the cheese. The cook could not find the cheese. So we're going to play with that sentence a little bit and add some clauses to it. The first one is going to be a who clause right here. So it says the cook who blank could not find the cheese. Do either of you have an idea of what we could put in the blank here? The cook who blank could not find the cheese. Lacey, what do you think?
The cook who sadly could not find the cheese.
Who sadly, is that what you said? Okay. Actually, next to the who, you should say something like, because remember, a who clause has to have a subject verb, right? Who was sad? Maybe that would work. The cook who was sad could not find the cheese. that kind of flows a little bit better because you have the word was, which is your verb. Remember, it has to have a verb with it. So the cook who was sad could not find the cheese. Do you have an idea, William, for that one? Um, maybe the cook forgot to buy cheese. Maybe that's why he couldn't find it. The cook who forgot to buy the cheese could not find the cheese. Or maybe he needed the cheese for a recipe. Maybe he's making something and he needs the cheese and he can't find it. The cook who needed the cheese could not find the cheese. All right, let's try this one. This one's a that clause. William, I want you to think about this, okay? Because I want you to try to brainstorm and come up with something to end this with. The cook could not find the cheese that blank, and it has to have a verb in it. So think of a verb that the cook could not find the cheese that, here's an example, that he needed for the recipe. Needed is a verb, right? So he could not find the cheese that he needed for the recipe. Or think of another verb we could use after that. Let me see what my book says too. Can you think of one, William? Okay, go ahead.
The cook could not find a cheese that he wanted to eat.
Okay, that he wanted to eat. There you go. Wanted and eat are both verbs, so that would work. That he wanted to eat. Can you think of one for that one, Lacey? The cook could not find the cheese that.
I got one now.
Okay, go ahead.
The cook could not find the cheese that he needed for his pizza.
Oh, good. That's a good one. There you go. And then let's look at the last one. The cook could not find the cheese when, and this is an adverb clause because remember the www.asia, when, while, where, when is part of that. So the cook could not find the cheese when blank. It has to have a verb with it too over there. The cook could not find the cheese when it was time for dinner. Got one, Lacey? Go for it.
The cook could not find the cheese when he was running all over the place.
Good. And running is a good verb there. Did you think of one, William? The cook could not find the cheese when the dog stole it. I don't know about your dogs or if you have dogs, they love cheese. My dogs love cheese. It's like they know the drawer that we keep the cheese in, and every time we get in the fridge and open that drawer, it's like they come to the fridge. They know. Yeah. All right. Well, you get the idea. See how you take that basic sentence right here. The cook could not find the cheese, and we can play with it with different clauses to give it more detail. Let's turn the page. I think the next one's blank. Yeah, it is. So let's go on to the practice page here, page 81. And how about William read it today?
Sammy could not easily digest their cheese because he needed fruit, nuts, and beans from his garden.
Good. Did you notice you said the word cheese? I heard cheese instead of food. Is that what you heard, Lacey? Maybe it was my own brain, but I thought I could have sworn you said cheese. It's like subliminal. But you're right. That word is digest. And that's our vocabulary word today. And digest means when your stomach is breaking down the food that you eat, right? So you can digest it in your stomach. So sometimes if things are hard to digest, we get a stomach ache. So I'm thinking Timmy couldn't easily digest. Maybe his stomach was hurting. And I think, let me look back here, because if you go back to the last page of your homework last week, on page 78, it says the mice who enjoyed their food proudly boasted that it was a dish with eggs in a cream sauce. So obviously, Timmy's not used to eggs and cream sauce. Timmy's used to fruit, nuts, and beans. So poor Timmy probably has a stomach ache. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, you can check vocabulary because we did that. How about Lacey? Where are the four nouns?
Timmy,
Good,
food,
good.
beans, garden,
Beans, garden,
and nuts.
fruit, and that's five. So nuts is separate. So yes, fruit and nuts. So really, that we need a comma there. I think that's what's making it look weird is it says fruit nuts. That I don't even know what fruit nuts are. But if we put a comma in there, now that makes sense because we're listing fruit, nuts, and beans. Does that make sense, Lacey? Oh, okay,
So
good.
wouldn't we take a comma out before and?
No, we need that there because when you remember the rule about when you list things like this, if you only have two, you don't need a comma. But when you have three things, you do need commas between. So fruit, comma, nuts, comma, and beans. So that is correct. Okay. Does that make sense?
That is said on the paper where it said the comma can't go before the and.
That's true. It can't go before the and if you're only listing two things. Like let's say it just said nuts and beans. If it just said nuts and beans, you don't need a comma before the and.
Okay.
Yeah. So that rule is true, but it just depends on how many things they're listing because they might be listing five things like fruit, nuts, beans, um, tomatoes, and carrots, something like that. You know, if you list a bunch, you got to have commas in between, and the comma does go right before and when you have a big list like that. Okay. So pronoun, William, where's that?
Good.
He, good.
Now,
Just that one. How about you do the adjectives too, since that was so short? You see the adjectives? So like let's look at garden.
um, his
His
and their, the
and
their
their.
wrong.
Say that again.
And their
Yeah, but something's wrong with that one though, huh? How do we need to fix it?
um spelled Their.
Yes, there you go. So that means the food belongs to them, right? Their food. That's who it belongs to. So that becomes an adjective. But we had to fix the spelling, and that was the homophone. So we'll check that. We also already got the comma in there, so you might as well check that. Check adjective. How about the ly adverb, Lacey?
Easily.
Good. And Lacey, how about the coordinating conjunction?
And
Good. I'm going to come back to the prepositional phrase just because that's what I like to do. I'm going to jump all the way down here actually to the subject verb pair. So I'm going to have William do the verbs and Lacey can do the subject. So where are the verbs, William?
um needed.
Needed. Good. Two more.
Um
If you get
not
stuck on this, say it again.
not
Not the not part. Is that what you said? Not? Yeah, not the not part of couldn't, but the could part of couldn't is a verb. That's true. And then there's one more.
From?
No, that's going to be a preposition. So the only words left are because, that doesn't sound like a verb, or
Digest.
digest. There you go. Digest is what your stomach does with food, right? So that's one way, that's a tip. If you get stuck on verbs sometimes, is look at what's left. And I know from is a preposition, and then I know because that's not a verb. So I just narrowed it down to this one, digest. How about the subjects, Lacey?
Timmy
Good. Timmy
and he.
and he. Good. So we'll check that. We've got an adverb clause. That's the one, the www word, dot B. William, do you see the adverb clause? Starts with one of those words.
Because.
Yes, it starts with because. Where does it go to the end? Where does it end?
Pardon?
Yep, good. The whole rest of the sentence. Because he needed fruit, nuts, and beans from his garden. And notice that this adverb clause, we're going to put AC here, has a subject he and a verb needed, and then the rest of the sentence. So this first part would be considered the main clause. Timmy couldn't easily digest food. That's the main clause. And then they added an adverb clause because he needed fruits, nuts, and beans from his garden. So that gives it a little bit more detail, not just the simple main clause there. All right, got that. Now we've got prepositional phrase, and there's only one. So, Lacey, where's the prepositional phrase?
It's from Answer Garden.
From to garden. So, from his garden. That's right. Good job. End mark, got that. Capital Timmy. And then where does the apostrophe go, William? You remember what an apostrophe is?
Between N and T.
Yes, in the word couldn't. That's right. That's a contraction, meaning could not. So you're right. That's where the apostrophe goes, right between the N and the T. Okay, good job. If you get stuck on anything while you're doing homework, skip it and come back to it, because notice how everything has a label now. So you can kind of tell what's left. That will help you with whatever you get stuck on. Go ahead and put away grammar and get out your binders next. All right. You guys wrote about food on a stick or family dinner. I haven't had a chance to grade your work yet. Did you guys both get a chance to do that this week? Lacey says yes. Did you finish yours, William, too? Yeah? Okay. Do either of you want to read it, your story that you wrote? Lacey does. Do you want to, William? No. Okay. One of these days you will, but you don't have to today. So I haven't even read yours yet, Lacey. Do you have it with you right now?
Yeah, I
Perfect.
just forgot to turn it in. My dad and me like to turn stuff in at a time, like 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. You wait
Instead of
and then you do a bunch of them at the same time. Okay. That's okay. See if you can do it though before we have our conference, because I do want to look at it together at that time. So maybe if you have time later today, you can upload it so we can look at it later with your dad. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So yeah, I'd love to hear it. So whenever you're ready, go for it.
two whole pages.
How many pages?
Two.
Oh, nice.
One front, back, and
And
back.
another one. That's like almost 3 pages, really. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
the carnival pasta. One day there were two kids, Shelby and Henry. They were at a carnival. The two kids were extremely hungry. They had lots of choices like mac and cheese sandwiches, octopus, deep fried candy bar, deep fried ice cream, and pizza, all on a stick. Henry eyed the pizza on a stick. So Henry and Shelby, who discussed and went to the pizza on the stick. Since there is a huge crowd, they had to go fast because all the tasty food will be gone. Henry and Shelby ran as fast as they could and made it. They made it, but knowingly they were in the back of the line because they were in the back of the line. Henry announced, "Can we please move to a different line?" "Okay, fine," replied Shelby. While they were switching lines, they noticed Shelby noticed her friend, her nice friend. She talked with her friend. Henry was confused where Shelby was at, so he just stayed in the line. Before it was their turn, Shelby, who came with her friend, made it before it was their turn. "Finally! We can order!" shouted the person at the front told him, "We only have pasta." Henry shouted, That Henry shouted again, "That's even better!"
Oh, good. So he was happy.
Shelby calmly told the guy they got. Yeah, I'm just kidding. "Three, please," Shelby calmly told the guy. They got out of the line and they were in the back to the front of the line. And they munched their food,
Mm.
their delicious pasta, because it was a long day. Henry, who finished all of his pasta, and his stomach was full. After everyone finished their food, they calmly sat down. While they were sitting down, they started singing together. And and with all the pasta gone, Henry and Shelby, and with the friend, all happy. The end.
Yay. Good job. Yeah, do it with us, William. Oh, you're doing your emojis. There you go. Yay. I loved it. That was awesome. One thing I wanted to say, I got to say a few things before you put it away, okay? I loved your dress up words. I heard those, and you had some really great ly adverbs in there. Um, one that stood out to me was knowingly. Did you think of that one by yourself? Knowingly? Is that what?
I
Go
I
ahead.
didn't know what to put, and I was like, I feel like an LY adverb should be here. So I have like three papers here from last year and this year, and I've been looking at them.
Well, that's so awesome. That is exactly what you're supposed to do, Lacey. That was perfect. Because then it gave you ideas. And I don't know if you put them up on your wall, William, but I love that idea. That's what I do too when I'm working on something. That way I can go, what's a good one? Because sometimes it doesn't pop into my brain. I have to look at a list, and that helps a lot. So knowingly was like perfect for that spot. So good job with that. And then I did use, or I mean, I did hear one banned word, I think. I was really listening because you used a lot of really great words other than banned words, but I think at that part toward the beginning when they said, "Okay, fine. Look at your paper really quick." Did you use said right there? I think I heard you say said.
I said, I might have said, but it says replied.
Oh, good. Okay, so I heard said, but as long as you have replied, good job. That was it. Very good. I liked it a lot. That was a good one. One of your best so far. So good job, Lacey. All right, so we're going to move on now. So you can put away these stories in your finished binder or your finished folder, wherever you keep your stuff that you're finished with. Okay, so go ahead and put that stuff away for the food on a stick and family dinner. And then we're going to get out the next lesson. in your binder. So go ahead and open your binder to, when you're done putting all that away, open it to the source text tab, and you're going to get out week 13 called Sugar. And it's a lot of pages. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6 pages actually. We are moving on to summarizing multiple references. So we're not going to do any more pictures right now. We will later again, but for now, we're going to start doing more like research type papers. And I bet you guys remember, I hope you remember from last year, in the back of your binder, the very back pocket, are those big white pieces of paper. We're finally going to use those this year. So go ahead and get out one of those. I saw that. I like these too. Some students don't, but I like this. I like using those. So hopefully you still have them back there. So just one piece of the big white paper. And sugar. So we're going to do, it's kind of like a research paper. We're going to learn about sugar. At least the topic is, or I mean, the subject is interesting about sugar. We all like sugar. That's good. So you don't need any lined paper today, just that big white paper, what we need. All right. Do you guys remember using this big paper last year? You guys remember it kind of? I think we wrote about, William says yes. I think we wrote about tortoises or something like that last year. Do you remember that? It was a while ago. But hopefully, let me know if you remember as we go, okay, Lacey. But here's your big paper. Okay, open it all the way up. Yep. And the first thing we're gonna do is fold it this direction. Let me show you. Like a taco or like a hot dog shape. I don't know if you remember that when you were little. Fold it so it's long, like that, in half. Try to line it up as best you can, and then go ahead and make that crease with your fingers so it's like this, okay? And lay it on your table and then make that crease with your fingers, push it down so it's nice and folded like that. And then hold it up for me when you got that. Okay, good. Okay, good. Oh, you don't have the big one? Wait, is that the big one? Open it all the way up, William. Let me see yours. Yours is right, Lacey. Yeah. Open it up. Now fold it. Now fold it this way with it open. See how it's big? Big like that, and just fold it like that. No, other way. Yes. Yes, that's right, William. Keep it big for a second. I'll wait till William gets that crease in there. There you go. That's it. Now you're going to fold it in thirds. So you're going to take one side and go part way over about right there, about like that. Hold on. Let me do it and then I'll show you what it looks like. So one side goes part way over and then the other one goes on top of that. See what I did there? I put like part way over, and then when I fold the other side, it ends up like a square. So go a little part way over the middle and then fold the other side over that. Yes, you got it, Lacey. That's exactly right. Let me see. William's working on it. There's just two more folds, part way and then over the top of that. It looks like you got it. Yes, good. Awesome. Okay, so let me show you now. Let me share this screen. And we're going to open it all the way back up again. So it's big. And William, you have some extra creases because you accidentally folded it earlier too many times, but that's okay. So what I want you to notice, I know you'll have an extra crease here, William, but there's a kind of a square on the top left. So here's the whole paper. I want you to go to the top left side here, and I want you to put an A with a box around it like that at the top of that box. Okay, and then the next box over, this one in the middle, I want you to put a B with a box around it. And then the third box on the top at the edge here, at the very top, put a C. So you should have A, B, C at the top. So it looks like, let me show you in the big camera here. So it looks like that, A, B, C. Is that what you guys have? Okay, good. Under the B, in the box that's under the B, right here, here's B. So right underneath that, I want you to write fused outline. Do you remember that, Lacey? Fused outline? Kinda? Okay. Fused outline. So we got A, B, C, and then in the middle at the bottom, fused outline. Okay, now go back to A right here. This is where we're going to start building your keyword outlines. It's going to look a little different because you're going to have a lot of keyword outlines to work with. So underneath this, I want you to put next to the edge here a Roman numeral 1, and then you're going to do 1 through 5, but don't put them too close together. Kind of spread them out a little bit like that. Spread them out. And then 4 and 5, we're going to put kind of in parentheses like that. That means we may not need 4 and 5. You have to have 1, 2, and 3, but you can use 4 and 5 if you need to, but you don't have to. Okay, it's optional. That's what that means. So we've got Roman numeral 1 and then 1 through 5. And I want you to do that for B and C, and they're all going to be Roman numeral 1. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Make them all Roman numeral 1 and then 1 through 5. Spread them out. Parentheses around 4 and 5. And then again for C, Roman numeral 1. Make them all Roman numeral 1. Okay, good. And then under the fused, again, Roman numeral 1 again. They're all ones, Roman numeral 1s. And then this time, you're going to do 1 through 6. Spread them out. And we're not going to use any parentheses on this one, but I do want you to add that word clincher right under number 6. While you're finishing that up, as you were taking out week 13, which is about sugar, you probably noticed there's a lot of information in there about sugar. There's 3 different articles about sugar. So what we're going to do is find information from each article. So the next step is to look at the first article, which is this one on page 133. Or I'm sorry, 113. I don't know where I got that number from. 113. Page 113, and it should say source text 13.1 at the top. The first step is to put an A with a box around it at the top of that article. That tells us it goes with this A right here. So it matches, okay? So at the top of page 113, put an A with a box around it. Did you already do that, William? Okay. You got it, Lacey? Okay. So what we're going to do is read this article, and the other thing we're going to do is take notes in the margins to keep track of what these paragraphs are about. We did that before for other papers that we worked on. So I'm going to read it, and then we'll just jot a little note in the margin about what that paragraph's about. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start. It says, sugar most often comes from sugar cane, a tall grass that grows in warm places. Sugar can also be extracted from the sugar beet, a root that grows in cool places. When the sap or juice is boiled down, it turns into crystals. The crystals hold the concentrated sweetness of the plant. Sugar is sold as a powder or sometimes in cubes, lumps, blocks, tablets, and even liquid. Okay, so this is basically the making of sugar, how they make sugar from a sugar cane or a sugar beet. So I want you to turn your page to the side like this, and at the edge of that paragraph, I want you to write the word making. That's the making of sugar. This is how they make sugar. So we're just going to put the word making right here. The other place I want you to write the word making is on your big white page. The box that is next to the fused outline right here, this one under C, it's right under the box C. I want you to call this possible topics, because part of writing a paper is knowing what your subject is, number one, and we know that the subject is sugar. But then we have to figure out, what are the possible topics about sugar? What are we going to choose to write our paragraphs about? So one possible topic we just discovered is the making of sugar. So go ahead and write that word making. And then I'm going to have you put an A next to that, because that represents that we found that paragraph in Article A. That way we can look back on that later if we need information from there, okay? The next paragraph says, people have known about sugar since ancient times. Raw sugar cane was chewed for its sweetness. Sugar came to Europe with the Moors, who left North Africa and settled in Spain. Crusaders brought sugar back to Europe from the Holy Land. For a long time, sugar was a rare spice that only rich people could buy. Then, after sugarcane was cultivated in the New World, it cost less. In the 1800s and 1900s, high fructose corn syrup, sugar from sugar beets, and alternative sweeteners were developed. So this paragraph is talking about the history of sugar, where it came from, and it mentions a couple of dates like 1800s and 1900s. So it's telling us a little bit about the history. So next to that paragraph, go ahead and turn your paper, and let's write the word history. Next to the paragraph that starts with people have known. It's kind of the history of sugar. The other place to write the word history is back on this white page under possible topics. We're keeping track of what we're learning here. So I'm going to put history and an A, because that's where we found that information was in Article A. Are you guys good? You're tracking this okay? Okay, good. That down there. I'm going to keep going. Eating added sugar affects a person's health. Added sugar means sugar is mixed into food in a factory during food preparation or at the table. Added sugar can be found in packaged foods like breads and pasta sauce. Even foods that seem healthy, like yogurt, energy bars, and fruit juice, often contain added sugar. Sugar-sweetened beverages like soda pop or sports drinks are the largest source of added sugar in America's diet. Well, it's talking about different foods that have sugar in it. So I'm going to call this one foods with an S. Foods. It just means the different types of foods that have sugar in it. After you write foods next to that paragraph, let's add it to our possible topics list. Under history, we're going to put foods and then an A there. Keeping track of what these paragraphs are about. Okay. Let me know if I'm going too fast. I'm going to keep going. Too much refined sugar can have harmful effects. In the mouth, liquid sugar meets bacteria. Together, they create acid that can cause, turn it over, cavities. Ooh, we don't like cavities for sure. And damage the surface of our teeth. Over time, sugar can hurt our heart, pancreas, or liver. Added sugar might also lead to unhealthy weight gain. All right, so this paragraph is really talking about our health in our mouth, and just overall in our bodies. So I think I'm going to put it on this page. So this is page 114 on the back that we just read. So let's put the word health. How it affects our health. Next to that top paragraph on 114. And go ahead and add it to possible topics. Put health and A again. However, pure, unrefined sugarcane juice has been used for thousands of years to promote health. Tasting a bit like earthy lemonade, this sweet, refreshing drink is popular in India and other tropical countries. Locals drink cane juice for energy and hydration. Recent research shows that its antioxidants can strengthen the immune system and even help fight cancer. So this is talking about a part of sugar that's the sugar cane. It's called sugar cane juice. So I'm just going to label this SC for sugarcane, SC, and then I'm going to put juice. It's talking about the sugar cane juice. This is the paragraph that starts with that word, however. And you guessed it, we got to add it to our possible topics. SC juice. And we'll put an A. So far, all of this is found in Article A. Are you writing this down, William? Okay, good. You're just quick. Alternatives to added sugar are numerous. You can flavor water by adding cucumber slices, peppermint leaves, or segments of lime or orange. Instead of candy, you can enjoy sweet fruits like apples, bananas, or strawberries. Cinnamon lends sweetness when sprinkled on applesauce. Honey, dates, and coconut sugars may be a healthier way to sweeten baked goods. Today, many healthier snacks are sweetened with xylitol crystals or stevia extract rather than refined sugars. These are called alternatives. It just means not exactly sugar, but what you can use in place of sugar that sweetens your food. So we're going to call it alternatives. The word is right here. It's the first word in the paragraph. Just copy that word on the side here. Alternatives. Meaning other things other than sugar that we can use to sweeten our food. After you write alternatives there, make sure you add it to your possible topics list. Alternatives and A. Okay, awesome. You guys are doing great. We're done with A. Let's go on to the next article, which is on page 115. Page 115. Okay, And since we're kind of low on time, I'm going to do this one a little bit different here. Let me check something real quick. See if we can adjust this. Yeah, okay. I'm going to look for the paragraph that talks about the history of sugar because that's what we're going to write about for your first paragraph. Normally we would read all of it, but we don't have quite enough time to read all of it. So we'll finish reading it next time. But I know that the second paragraph right here, this one, where it says sugar has an ancient history, I'm going to start here so we can use some information in here in our outlines. Okay, so this time, since we know what our topic's going to be for this paragraph, as I read this, I want you to underline some things that are interesting to you in this paragraph. It could just be like one or two things, maybe three things that are interesting to you to underline. Okay, sugar has an ancient history. People around the world have liked sugar for thousands of years. After Europeans settled in the New World, the Caribbean region became the world's largest source of sugar. Indentured or enslaved persons grew sugarcane on those islands. By the 1700s, many people could buy sugar. At that time, people in England mostly used it in their tea. Later, Europeans made candy. Okay, so hopefully you had a minute to underline a few things that stood out to you about the history of it, but I do want you to write history next to that paragraph. And that was the second paragraph of this page. Starts with sugar has an ancient history. And by the way, I forgot something. At the very top, let's put a B around this one. This is Article B. And I know we skipped the first paragraph. We'll have to read that another time, but on your paper here, it gets a little easier because we already have history and we have A. I just want you to put a comma and B because we found it in B too. So we don't have to rewrite the word history. We're just going to add a B because we know we found it in the second article too. Okay, we're going to skip a little bit again just so we have time to finish this, but go to Article C, which is this one, and this is on page 117. Page 117 is called Sugar Plastic. Weird title for it, but that's going to be C. So let's put C at the top. This goes with Article C here. And I happen to know that that first paragraph is the history paragraph. So we're going to focus again just on the history of sugar, since we're running out of time here. So as I read this, you'll probably find several things to underline in here that are interesting to you. So underline details that you think are interesting to put in your paper. The story of sugar goes way back. Historians believe sugarcane plants grew in New Guinea. Traders on ships brought sugarcane to India. East Indians in AD 100 were the first to build a mill that refined sugarcane into crystals. In 327, I mean, this is like 2000, like almost 2000 years ago, a long, 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 long time ago. Okay. In 327, when Greeks and Romans visited India, they learned about sugar. Around 650, Arab people became experts at cooking with sugar. They invented the almond and sugar treat called marzipan and molded it into shapes of little fruits. In 1493, Columbus brought sugarcane to the island of Hispaniola, now Haiti and Dominican Republic in the Caribbean Sea. Later, huge fields of sugarcane grew on plantations in Brazil. Many workers were needed to do labor there. From about 1583 to 1888, the end of slavery in Brazil, African people were forced onto ships bound for South, Central, and North America. Because so many enslaved persons worked on these plantations, sugar became less expensive. Okay, let's label this paragraph history. That's the one we just read. And then, since this is C that we just read, we're going to add C next to history. So that's why it's good to start with this topic, because we know, or I know, it's in all three articles. Go ahead and circle history right here with A, B, and C, and we're going to put a Roman numeral 1 next to it, because this is what you're going to focus on for your first paragraph of your report. Okay. From here, your homework this week is going to be to work on A, B, and C of your outlines here. You've got 3 outlines on the top that you're going to work on. Remember, A matches A, the article A, this one called sugar. So when you go sit down to do your homework, you're writing about the history of sugar. By the way, let's write this in. Under A, next to Roman numeral 1, let's put sugar and then history. I know we can use 3 words, but I'm only going to keep it 2 words right now, because that's what we're focusing on, is the history of sugar. So go ahead and next to the Roman numeral 1, under B, you're going to put the same thing, sugar, comma, history. And then next to the Roman numeral 1 for C, again, sugar, comma, history. You're also going to put it under the fused outline here. We're going to put that again, sugar, comma, history, and then comma, and one more word that we don't know yet. We got to figure that out later. But I wanted you to see the pattern that all of these are going to be only about the history. So when you go back to do your homework, only look at the paragraphs that talk about the history of sugar. Focus only on that paragraph. So for instance, back to A here. For A, for 1, 2, and 3, and 4 and 5 if you need it, but mostly 1, 2, and 3, you're going to reread this paragraph about history and look for 3 details that you want to add, put in your outline here. So you'll reread this paragraph about history for A and look for keywords that you want to put in your outline. You have to do 1, 2, and 3. 4 and 5 are optional, okay? When you're done with A, you're going to go to B and look at article B. Let me find mine. I have it right here. This one, because remember, B matches B, and we're going to look at the paragraph about history only. Does that make sense to you guys? And then you're going to find keywords in here to put in this outline. And then for C, you're going to look at article C and look at the paragraph about the history here, and C goes with C. So the information you find from this one, you're going to put here. And that's it for now. And then when we get together for your parent conference, I'll talk to you about how to do the fused outline at that time, okay? So you're going to just focus on A, B, and C only for your homework. You don't have to write any paragraphs yet. You're just going to work on your keyword outlines for A, B, and C. Does that make sense? Okay. And then when I meet with you, I'll talk to you about this fused outline, and then you'll write one paragraph from there. Does that make sense? Okay, go ahead, Lacey. Did you have a question?
Do we choose a day that we like do it or like
Yeah, so I emailed your mom and dad an email that has a link. And when they click on the link, they can pick a time. I think your dad picked a time already. I'm
okay?
not sure what he picked, but I think he already did it. So
Okay.
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I I'll just ask him.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, he'll tell you when it is, and then you'll sit with him, and then I'll talk with you. Bring this to the meeting though, because I want to talk to you about the fused outline.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. Any questions, William? Nope. Just to do A, B, and C, and that's it for now. Okay. And then we'll talk about the fused at your conference meeting. All right, you guys, that's it. Have a great week. And I'll see you whenever you sign up for the conference. I'll see you at that. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Next week.
Okay.